Welcome back to Newscenter. Joining me now to take the discussion forward is Sidharth Luthra, Senior Advocate at the Supreme Court. He's also the former Additional Solicitor General of India. Thank you for joining us on the show, sir. Let me begin by asking you, can a distinction actually be made? Here you have political parties saying that whatever we are doing, whether it's free water, whether it's free electricity, or even distribution of television sets, it's contributing to the growth of economy of states, it's for the welfare of the people. You cannot call it freebies. On the other hand, the BJP and the centre are saying that this practice needs to stop. How does one really make the distinction under law?
So, the matter is going to come up on Monday before the Supreme Court. And the issue that needs to be seen is whether there is these freebies, if we may call them that, fall within the scope of the term bribery under the Representation of People Act during elections. So that's clearly prohibited by law. Having said that, the Constitution and the directive principles make it clear that people must be given under Article 38 equal rights, equal access, social, political, economic justice. And also there are other articles in the Constitution to talk about giving people employment, social welfare, health, and other amenities. Now, those are clearly in furtherance of the directive principles, and those who are proponents of the advantages to be given to certain sections will try and bring them within the four corners of the directive principles and link them up to the fundamental rights to say that the state has a duty to provide facilities to bring up for the welfare of the people and to bring their social and economic life up to a standard where the right to equality is maintained or honored. Having said that, the issue is about the grant of freebies, and I don't take the proposition regarding the economy, a boost to the economy very realistically, because that's not tenable. Either the argument is the constitutional argument and ensuring that it does not fall afoul of the Representation of People Act. There is also, but that Representation of People Act, I must add, applies in relation to elections and to bribe a voter to cast a vote. So that's a very limited and specific, time-specific issue. This issue has, of course, been debated in 2013 in relation to some of the promises the DMK had made, and the matter had come up before the Supreme Court, and a two-judge bench at that stage had given a view that the proposals and the promises made by the DMK at the relevant point in time or political parties may not constitute freebies and may not fall afoul, and therefore the Supreme Court at that stage had declined to give directions in this matter regulating the grant of freebies. Today the Supreme Court is seized of the matter. The union government, the central government has taken a stand, and there are people both for and against the motion. But this matter needs to be given some consistent and serious thought, because while ensuring social and economic justice, we can't have a situation where we are causing injustice to other sections of the society by making them subsidize the existence of people. And therefore, there has to be a specific purpose and a specific justification as to why, whether it is units of electricity or units of water, or whether it is, specific kinds of employment. After all, Manrega has been accepted as a valid welfare scheme. So that is, again, in furtherance of the constitutional principle. But that does not mean that benefits or financial benefits to persons who may not be requiring them, or who are, where it is found that it is more in the nature of pure largesse without achieving a social purpose, that I believe would not be acceptable. And that is what the Supreme Court is seeking to determine.
Right.
And they are planning to possibly create a committee on Monday, which will then look into these matters.
Okay. Do you feel, Mr. Luthra, there is a gap in the law when it comes to distribution of freebies ahead of elections? Do you think there is another law needed by the legislature, or there is clarity, there's some clarity that is needed from the Supreme Court on the interpretation of the law?
Look, let's be realistic. One of the problems we have in our elections is that the limits that are set for spending by a candidate are absolutely unrealistic in terms of the actual expenditure done. So till we address that issue, the primary issue, we will A, not be able to stop corruption in elections, and B, we will not be able to document the kind of benefits voters are given by individual candidates. Having said that, at the second level, there are benefits which are given at the government level or the political level or at the party level, and promises made in the manifesto which are carried out by state funds. Now this is the second level of the issue, and that's the most important issue which is under consideration now before the Supreme Court. Insofar as this is concerned, what is very important is that while the directive principles give a broad outline, there is perhaps now time to determine what is the nature of benefits that ought to be granted, because once there is the law, that law can be tested against constitutional principles. In the absence of a law and parties giving benefits as and when they desire and justifying them, it's only government policies, and courts are normally rarely interfering with government policies, especially social and economic policies. Therefore, I believe it's time to have specific legislations which deal with and regulate the grant of benefits, if I may call them that. I'd rather not use the word freebies, to citizens, not just at the time of election, but throughout the term of the government.
Right. Another view coming in, and this is from some members of the bar, that this is not an issue over which the Supreme Court should be ruling. It is something for the legislature, for the politicians of the country to sit together and decide. Looking at the debates we have been having on TV channels on the subject, looking at the divide within the political fraternity, will there be any kind of consensus in the political fraternity over this? Do you think a framing of a law will be possible, or will the Supreme Court have to give some very strong directions on this effect?
In 2013, Supreme Court refrained from laying down guidelines, but now we are 9 years later, and I must tell you, which political outfit in this country is going to frame guidelines restricting their rights to give voters benefits which cause them electoral benefit? I don't think that seems to be happening in the near future, unless we get a very strong government which is very sensitive to the social justice, as also to ensuring Article 14 and the other and the principle and the directive principles. So unless that happens, I don't see a legislation coming into being in the near future, and especially at least at the state level, you will find that a lot of benefits are sought to be given to citizens with the idea to soften them, if I may say, for the purpose of ensuring votes. I don't see the legislation happening, so therefore I think what the Supreme Court refrained from doing in 2013 has not worked, and it is time now to go ahead and do this. I mean, I'll give you a simple example. Look at Delhi, for example. Your water bills have gone up, your electricity bills have gone up, and there are people who get free units of electricity, though they really don't need them, just because their meter reading is less than a certain limit. Now, this is a constant issue across the board. I believe that those who deserve benefits must be provided those benefits, just as we give rations and others under various welfare schemes and Manrega. But at the same time, the Indian state has a limited number of resources, and those resources must be used for those who need and deserve them most, and not for those who fall into certain arbitrary categories. And that perhaps may have to be done at the level of the Supreme Court right now, because legislation doesn't seem to be happening.
And my final question, sir, we've run out of time, but just in about 20 seconds, do you feel that it's time to also strengthen the Election Commission? They wanted to stay out of any committee that is formed on the issue of benefits for the people, of freebies. Do you feel it's time to also strengthen the arms of the Election Commission?
I think the strengthening of the Election Commission often depends on the person who holds the post of the Chief Election Commissioner. They have some powers. Yes, there may need a little fine-tuning to the Representation of People Act, but the Election Commission is a fairly strong body if it chooses so to be, and it is time for the Election Commission to show its mettle and to show that it means business and ensures free and fair elections in terms of the kind of promises and offers that various political outfits make to people. But a little fine-tuning in the Representation of People Act would definitely be welcome. I don't know whether that's going to happen in the near future.
Okay, we've run out of time, but thank you very much, Mr. Sidharth Luthra, for joining us, giving us your view on the best way ahead when it comes to regulating these benefits that are rolled out during elections. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.